Greetings, I am Reginald Argue. Tonight, I am going to be sharing with you my poem, Poet Boxer. To me, Poet Boxer it's sort of an example of someone who's involved with the entertainment industry is that you know, you got to put a lot of effort into it. You got to put a lot of creativity. Nothing comes overnight. Everything involves a lot of work. When Lisa and I, we took in the Fringe Festival about 5 or 6 years ago, and what we really loved about the Fringe Festival is that you had poets, you had jugglers, you had plays from all over the world. You also took in the Fringe Festival over in Edmonton in the late '90s, which had the jugglers and that in it. But the one over in Toronto, we got a chance to go over to the Tarragon Theatre. If you've ever been to the Tarragon Theatre, you know that the second you walk in there, you're at a place where there's been some amazing plays that have been showcased. And that night was another example. I mean, the writer director of this play, which was about Elvis Presley meeting the President Nixon, Brian Kensington. And Brian, you did a great job. I loved it. Closing my eyes, I felt like a bug on the wall. I felt like I was watching Elvis Presley talking to the President Nixon. And one of the main actors for that was Phi Bulani. Phi, you deserve to be on my wall of heroes too, because you're an example of someone who puts so much effort into their creativity, into their craft. You're showcasing stuff, and that night you're able to provide sort of a platform, a gateway to allow us to connect us up to different individuals from the past. And, I can't say enough good things about it. To me, it's an example of Poet Boxer. I'm going to quickly go on with the poem right now. Riding an invisible bike in my mind, I discover how to skip and hop through the fighting ring of life. Beginning from weaving to left and right, I transformed into a rabbit that was constantly moving while I focused like deadly laser upon my opponent, showing no emotion and staring straight into the white of my foe's eyes. I let my movement speak for me, scanning for the weakest link where I could bring my adversary into a submission hold or a place to launch a knockout punch. I continued dance with my feet. I try to keep at least close enough to deliver a few jabs with my words, but far enough away to stay out of my opponent's range. I let my words spit out like machine gun bullets that continually pound their target with countless left and right jabs, knowing I had pelted the ground with countless bullet shells from my explosive words. My opponent was thrust backwards, overwhelmed by my barrage of word jabs. The crowd was shocked and awed by my mastery of the technical attack I had just carried out against my opponent. I feel like a great general who had led his troops to victory from the gates of defeat. Everyone started to chant my name, shouting out for me to move in to end it all, which sent massive invisible electrical waves straight at me. Trying to remain focused on my mission, I reloaded my magazine of words in my mind, which I would soon deliver upon my foe to end the fight. Taking a deep breath, I acknowledged my time was soon to come, and one I have always sought out and quest for will shortly be upon me. Gaining strength from all the hopelessness forced upon me in my past, these memories had built upon the Poet Boxer within me. Now I sense nothing could prevent the bull within me from driving me to achieve what many had told me in the past was unattainable. Continuing to dance and weave quickly from left to right, I recognized only one opponent stood in my way, and with deep inner hunger, warrior that had been denied the ultimate victory for far too long, my mind slowed to a point where I swore my opponent was moving at a snail's pace. My movement becomes the speed of lightning bolts thundering out of the sky, which crashes down upon the ground. Before the crowd could make a noise, I pounced like a deadly cheetah upon my dazed opponent. Like a click clack, my magazine of words had been loaded into a machine gun mouth. Left and right, my wordsmith rounds were sent out, thundering at my opponent, causing him to become weak and quivering on his feet. Not wishing to drag it out any more, I let my unexpected calling card of words turn into an uppercut from deep within me. The crowd erupted into excitement as my opponent propelled upwards off his feet, immediately following their body slamming into the mat. With no movement or sign coming from my opponent, I saw that the struggles of my mind, which showcased what I had gone through to reach this point in my life. In front of me, I felt like I had just won the world championship for a poet boxer. I wrote that in 2021. Now, for the story tonight, I'm going to take us back to 2011. Down in Vancouver, down at Commercial Drive. There's a theater that's about, I think, about 2 or 3 blocks just from where Commercial Drive. There's a hub where your SkyTrain and your buses all connect together. And on that night, um, Phil Learness, a director, writer, producer, co-host for the Chill Pack Hollywood um, podcast that comes on, and along with Dean Haglund, Dean Haglund, X Files, Lone Gunman. He also writes the adult graphic novels. He's also the co-host for the Chill Pack 2, Phil and Dean. They brought up their documentary, and it was called "The Truth Is Out There." And Lisa and I, we really had a lot of fun doing that. I remember talking to Phil and Dean afterwards, and Phil was saying that with the entertainment world, that if you have another route to follow, he's saying follow it because it's so hard in an entertainment world. Everything is a struggle, and that's what people have to realize. Nothing comes overnight. It takes time. It takes time to hone your craft. It takes time to basically build the connections. And now I'm starting to realize that, and with what Phil was saying that night, it was a great time. Phil and Dean, both of you guys, you make this old peacekeeping veteran, you make my heart feel real good. And I put both of you up on my wall of heroes too. So I want everyone to know that one thing is, don't be afraid to be the positive change you want to see in this world. Because everyone else, when you see something and you see that, okay, we only have to go this way, and then we open it all up and it's beautiful, basically, rainful of colors comes at you. And you know how to basically open that up to positive change. No one else will know that. That's right. You have to be the positive change you want to see in this world because everyone else is going to do it differently, you know? And that's what I keep on trying to inspire in people is that we can end this divisionism. We can come together. We can create a better world for allow the artists to be seen, allow the artists to showcase their work and not worry about having it stolen or basically, taken away from them. And that's the kind of world that I want to see. That's the kind of world that I believe in. Now, I am Reginald Angus Argue, and until we meet again, don't forget now, be the positive change you want to see in this world.